I don't see where Tana went. I'd like to welcome everybody out to Social Media Breakfast Madison. This is a special occasion. It is the time of our nonprofit audit. And if you're wondering if you're actually hearing my voice over the speakers with this microphone, you are not, because this is just for the live stream. So I don't have the clicker. That's what I don't have. We will advance the slide forward eventually. Is that over there? There we go. All right. So here's Social Media Breakfast, our focus. We're a nonprofit focused on education and helping out people improve their social media and digital marketing as a group. And we do this through bringing in speakers, having panels such as this one today, and case studies, as well as scholarships, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This is, if you're wondering if this is for you, well, then it probably is. Because we cover all kinds of marketing. We cover social media. I was just talking with Addison back there, I think, and we were talking, that marketing covers so much stuff, and it's just a changing venue, that this is a good place to come and just kind of stay on top of things and hear about trends or bring up questions. We don't know everything, so if you bring up questions, we know where to focus our attentions. It's always the third Wednesday of each month. It is bright and early and sometimes hard to convince your colleagues to come, but I think you'll agree with us that the breakfast is well worth it. It was amazing. And it will be here as well as live streamed on Facebook, so you can always have people look at it later on. And I am going to be to the side here because I have to look at this too. Our board is a bunch of really hardworking people, and we really appreciate their service. You can see them all up there. We also believe in increasing our board where possible. So you'll see that little link down there in the lower left. So if you are interested in being in the board, like I was, like our panelist Meg was, feel free to give us a holler. Go ahead next. Thank you, Ashley. And obviously we are on all of the socials, including the X and now we've added Threads as well. So whatever your particular favorite flavor is, feel free to look for us there and join us on that. I mentioned scholarships. So there are all kinds of presentations, and not every corporation or nonprofit has a budget to send you that. We would love to help. So we do have applications on the website. If there's a particular conference you would like to go to, you can feel free to do that. I think we also have a bit of a kudo from one of our scholarship recipients talking about how well it went for her when she went to her social media conference. So feel free to apply if you see something that comes up, or let us know if you know of a likely candidate. Go ahead. Now we have a fun event. We're not all about just the technical stuff. On December 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Madison Public Library, we will be doing a sip and scroll. Now it's not an alcoholic sip and scroll. It's going to be a wonderful hot chocolate bar, I guess you'd call it, but there'll be all kinds of fun, yummy stuff for that. And we're going to do old-fashioned selfies, as in we're going to make cards by hand with markers and glue and all kinds of fun stuff. And it will be a lead thing, but it's very casual. Just hang out, enjoy the holidays, and you'll get to leave there with some handmade cards, which in this day and age is kind of an unusual thing. So save it for your special friends. We are still looking for more speakers for 2024. Don't be intimidated by the high quality of the speakers. We actually, I mean, a lot of people that come in and speak, they are, sometimes it's their first time, sometimes it's their umpteenth time, but they always get interesting questions, and it's definitely a good experience and a good chance to get to know more people in our community. We also are always looking for volunteers. Do be careful. You may volunteer and then find yourself on the board, hypothetically. But one in particular right now, we're looking for blog writers. At the end of every event, we do a summary on the blog. And that, it's a well-written piece, and it's a good summary, and it takes a lot of work. And we want to give a shout out to Cassie here. Cassie Sawantag has been a volunteer and has come forward many times and helped us out. And we want to also, spread the love and give her a break sometimes. So if you are interested in getting your byline on a Social Media Breakfast Madison summary, please let us know. We're going to talk more about our sponsor and let them speak as well later on, but Salvatore's Pies is our current food sponsor. But again, we want to spread the responsibility. So while we love having them there, if they ever get tired of bringing all their stuff out early in the morning, we would love to hear about more food sponsors and people that would like to help us make breakfast. Otherwise, you end up with me making pancakes out there again, which is also kind of fun. Yeah, I admit it. But we also do our best social media game to help out our sponsors too. So it is a not transactional, but we do our best to give back. Also, we are a nonprofit, but we love showcasing other nonprofits. Now, my personal day job is working for the RCC Sexual Violence Resource Center as a fundraiser, and I can speak from experience that being a part of the nonprofit spotlight is a really nice experience. So if you have a nonprofit or you know of a nonprofit that should be spotlighted, it's a really easy application, and we are very friendly and would love to do that. And I mean friendly in spite of the fact that you're about to see two nonprofits get the excruciating experience of having their social media critiqued. And our most active is probably our Facebook group. So you can feel free to join that with all of the regular benefits you get. It is a pretty active group, and it's a way to do networking from the comfort of your very own computer, because then you can make appointments and see people here. All right. And we'd like to thank all of our sponsors who you can see up here. And if you'd like to become a sponsor, you don't have to serve us breakfast. You can also just, help us out financially. We especially like to call out Dream Bank, who provides this amazing venue for us, and how that works out. Actually, I think our next slide is our Dream Bank. Yes, our Dream Bank slide. And this is where I get to call up one of the most competent and capable people I have ever met, Andy from Dream Bank.
This is only the fourth time I've ever talked to Gray, so take that with a grain of salt. But good morning, Social Media Breakfast. Thank you, Gray. Shout out to Sal's for bringing the breakfast today. Nice little mix-up. I know I've chatted with some folks about this, but I am a hash brown guy, but I do appreciate a good yogurt parfait as well. But yes, my name is Andy Frisky. I work here at Dream Bank. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar about kind of what we do and how we show up in the community, we are a free community resource that is put on by American Family Insurance. And everything we do ladders up towards the inspiration and pursuit of dreams, in large part by helping to remove barriers for individuals. So how that kind of translates is we host 15 to 30 free events a month in this space, both in person and in a virtual setting. And they're all through the lens of personal and professional development. So I happen to head up our career and our business series. We also have a learning lab series, which is like a how-to or a 101 series. So really trying to appeal to a wide range of folks, because there's a lot of different dreamers out there. One thing I really want to highlight though is you might have noticed it, that the kiosk, we're honoring Veterans and Military Family Month right now, and there's an opportunity to go ahead and write a letter to a veteran, just sharing some gratitude, thanking them for their service. And then for every letter that is written, we will be matching that for $5 per letter, up to $5,000 as well too. So one thing I really wanted to highlight. So we'll keep it short and sweet today. And with that, I will kick it back to Gray.
Thank you. And I didn't know about the $5 addition there. So as a veteran, thank you. That was really nice. And then our food sponsor, would you like to come up and say hi and tell us about the other places that we can enjoy your wonderful food?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for having us back again. This is Adriana and I'm Gina. And Audrey does all of our marketing. So all the materials you see, she wrote all that up, and I'm the catering gal. And this month, I believe we're doing a 10% off any of your catering. 15% off. 15% off any of your catering, sorry. And so we want y'all to use us. Corporate lunches, we're really trying to get our corporate lunch business going. So let us know. We'll bring you some lunch to all your folks at your work, and it'll be me and likely Audrey bringing it with me. So we hope that y'all will eat and eat and eat yogurt and find ways to steal it, because there's plenty of yogurt. There's plenty of oatmeal. We will look the other way when you make takeout containers. And we all need to be grateful to our chef who made all that for us. I mean, he didn't make the yogurt, in fairness, but he did make the granola and the oatmeal, and he spiced up the nuts and made those sweet and spicy for you. So we want y'all to really appreciate Garrett in your heart and soul, because he was up way early this morning getting that done for us. But thank you for having us back, and we'll look forward to seeing you, I think, next time in January.
Thank you so much. All right. So now we get to talk about what exactly is going to happen here. And we first want to give great credit to any of the nonprofits that applied for this nonprofit audit. The fact that we only chose these two is not necessarily a reflection on the quality of the nonprofit or the cause or anything like that. It's mainly the rubric was, who do we think we might be able to help the most by having a nonprofit audit panel? And that's not saying that they were the worst. It's saying that they have the infrastructure in place that with the things that we are going to suggest, perhaps. And I say we in the royal we, because actually it's these three panelists who you'll meet in a moment that are going to be suggesting it. But I want to give credit to them. I also want to give credit to them for showing up and listening and hearing it. It is not easy to sit there and hear people, even in a constructive critique, even from people as nice as these three people. It's not easy to do that. But we will also say that in the past, we have seen real world effects come from this nonprofit audit, that it has given the tools and the suggestions, sometimes the things that people already knew, but the added cachet of having these experts suggest it has helped convince executive directors, boards, things like that, that this is what's needed. And that is what the entire purpose of this event is for. We are going to talk to the Ice Age Trail Alliance and Wisconsin Agriculture in the Classroom as if these three panelists were consultants in a room with them saying, look, here's what we looked at, here's what's really good, here's some things that you might want to consider. The rest of us are an audience. We have the privilege of getting to see that, and some of the things that we'll see will be like, oh, hey, that applies to me too, and some of them perhaps they don't. Some of them perhaps you'll see things that you already do, and they say this is a good thing, and you're like, yes, I knew I was on the right track, or at least I know now that I'm on the right track. That's kind of the thing that I usually get out of these kinds of presentations. So huge kudos. Wisconsin or Ice Age Trail Alliance, do we have a representative? There you are. I hadn't gotten to meet you before. You have to say hi to the Ag in the Classroom. But thank you all for showing up. Thank you for applying as well. We really, really appreciated that. And it was a difficult decision to make going through that. There was a lot of discussion among the board. So going on from that, we have our panelists. And our panelists have been working for the last month, looking at the social media platforms and going through and bringing together their suggestions. And rather than waste your time having me talk about them, I'm going to let them briefly introduce themselves, and then they will proceed with the audit. So, Ashley, you can go to the next slide.
I have this one. Awesome. Okay. This one?
There we go.
Perfect. Hi there, I'm Ashley Storck, the president and founder of Marketini Media. We are a remote marketing firm based on the near west side of Madison. We really specialize in all things digital and work closely with Wisconsin-based small businesses and nonprofits to amplify their impact through digital marketing. And I'm really excited to be here today because a true passion of mine is really working closely with the nonprofits in our local communities.
My name is Meg Goals. I am the digital marketing manager at Sound Productions, which is a pro audio, video, and lighting distributor, also on the west side of Madison. I am also a member of the Social Media Breakfast Board and have a lot of experience running socials and all things marketing for a lot of different organizations.
I'm Tana, Elias. I'm the Digital Services and Marketing Manager for Madison Public Library. We have 9 locations around Madison plus a Dream Bus, and we have one location on the way, hopefully being built in a couple of years on the northeast side of Madison, and I oversee all of the marketing and website design for Madison Public Library.
I realize there's one more thing I need to say. Thank you for the introductions. We are, in order to make sure that both nonprofits get an equal amount of time, we also are going to hold off questions until the end of the presentation. So please get out your notebooks or your phones or whatever you use. And when you think of a question, write it down. You will definitely get a chance to do it, but it will be at the very end of the presentation.
All right. Are we supposed to read this, go through this slide as well?
Whatever points you want to highlight, you can obviously
take that.
Okay.
All right.
So notes from the team of the Ice Age Trail Alliance. So some strengths. So they're seeing a large social media following, have that regular engagement, and really have plenty of content to pull from. In terms of the challenges that they're currently facing, I think this is probably a challenge that a lot of us face, is really trying to keep up with trends, and specifically in the nonprofit space, trying to identify what trends make sense for their organization. And with that, kind of going even a step further, beyond the trends, just in general, what's working and what isn't working. So trying to nail down what content to keep producing, maybe what content to produce less of, and really trying to engage in those new and diverse audiences. So they have a really large following, but trying to expand to new audiences. And their goals specific to their website are really to generate more donations. Social media, they're looking to convert followers to Alliance members and or active event participants. And then on social media, again, really looking to attract and engage a new and diverse audience. Awesome. So with that, I will take it away. So taking a look at the website to kick things off. So there is a ton of information that is available on the Ice Age Trail Alliance website. So kudos to them for being able to really articulate this information and display it in a really clear and concise manner. Also very important, they're utilizing a lot of clear call to actions throughout this great content that they're providing. With this, it is very evident that they have clear branding in place. So really strong branding throughout, good use of colors, really like some of their pages where they're utilizing color blocking to really break up some space, as well as including imagery. They do a really great job of user navigation as well as just user experience when on their web pages. With that, they also have a lot of great interactive tools. So being able to interact with a state map, anything that can take the user experience above and beyond, I think that interactivity piece is going a long way for them. And with this, a really important piece to all websites, especially in this day and age, is that it is mobile optimized. So for the most part, I do have a note in the opportunity section, but their website is mobile optimized. And this is super important for not only search rankings, because Google is going to evaluate how your website is appearing on mobile, but also very important, obviously, for that user experience when people are landing on your website. Now taking a look at some of the opportunities, like I said, a lot of great information, a great base, great branding, but let's take some things a step further. So in terms of the header, so kind of going to start at the top and work my way down the homepage and then kind of tackle things more broadly. So currently they're utilizing a sticky header, kind of a half sticky header. So when you scroll, that header is sticking and it's always available. However, there is not a donate call to action in that sticky part. So would highly recommend moving a donate CTA in the sticky part of the header. That way, whenever someone is navigating the site, they always have that clear donate call to action. I recommend this for all of the nonprofits that I work with. You really want that front and center on your website. With this, also looking at the header as well as other aspects on the website, making sure those social media links are up to date. Currently a Twitter link doesn't appear that you're active on that platform, so just recommend swapping that out with your new TikTok page. And again, kind of moving our way down now into that hero section, specifically on the home page. So there's currently a large slideshow, about 12, almost a dozen slides. Would recommend consolidating those, probably 3 to 5 slides, really nailing down what your key business goals are. I know one of the new goals on the website is to really drive donations, so would probably recommend one of those sliders being a donate call to action. Maybe you then have a volunteer call to action, and then identifying some other main business goals that would be valuable in that space. And with that, going back to that mobile optimization piece, the website is great mobile optimized except for the hero image, which is really important because that is where someone is landing when they're on the site. You're losing the header text in those images, so just make sure that that is visible when on mobile. And again, really on that donation theme, making sure that this is front and center, especially since that is a current goal that you're looking to drive. You have a great volunteer section that really breaks up the content on your homepage. Would recommend building out a donate section really similar to that, so it's very clear and really stops a scroll when someone is going through your homepage. And then the last thing, I ran a couple tests in terms of your website speed performance. In terms of the load time of all aspects of all pages across your website, it is a little slow compared to the industry average. A great place to start to try and address this is to actually export images to WebP format rather than a JPEG or a PNG. It's just going to help with that load time, and it's a great place to start to try and tackle some of that website SEO, search engine optimization tasks.
Awesome. So a lot of things Ashley said I have similar thoughts on. I loved the navigation paths and that there was a call to action on the page to donate. I also like that your socials were linked in multiple places, though they would need to get updated. And just the information and the resources that I was able to learn about was just so awesome that you have all that readily available. The homepage does have a lot of information on it and a lot of like moving parts and pieces. So it felt a little overwhelming for me to know where I should even go. And also on mobile, when scrolling, it goes on for quite a long time. And then to find your way back up to the top, it might be worth streamlining again that message on your homepage. And the navigation does have so much information in there, lots of like clicking through, and then there's a bunch more links, and it kind of goes for a long time. So maybe just taking a look at what information is there, if there's any way you can streamline it into less landing pages, or clean anything up that's not relevant or needs updating, that might make it easier to find the information more quickly. And the nav bar and CTA I noticed were not sticky on mobile. So when you were scrolling, you lost that hamburger icon to like click down and go through the nav bar. So that would be something to look for with mobile optimization.
And so finally, one of the things that I really appreciate about the website is that beautiful, wonderful, consistent branding. High quality photos throughout the site, really nice use of colors and photos and showing the highlights of the Ice Age Trail. So much useful information. And it's clear from the photos and some of the stories and the work on the site that many volunteers are highly engaged in the organization through the chapters, through the events, through the group photos of people doing work on the trails. So it was really wonderful to see that engagement and to think about how we could build on that engagement and kind of move people from like, I've experienced this once to now I want to be a member to now I want to be more supportive. With that, I saw some of the opportunities were really, despite or in addition to the things that both Ashley and Meg mentioned, looking at things like some of the goals that you stated. So wanting to attract a new and diverse audience, show that in the photos that you're using, show some diversity in the photos. I saw that a lot of the people in the photos look the same. So try to get a little more diversity in the photos and highlight some of those stories. If you need to stage a photo shoot, if you need to reach out to partners like Dexter Patterson with Wisco Birder or other using the Ice Age Challenge, Ice Age Trail Challenge as a way to reach out to groups to share their own photos, might be some ideas for how to do that. Also sharing more individual photos. It's really great to see those groups in all of those photos, but you don't see the close-up emotion of what's happening and how people are engaging with that trail and engaging with each other and engaging with nature. So maybe more of a mix of the group shots to show the engagement and the close-up to show the experience of what it's like. Also some maybe pull-out testimonials, so kind of sharing more of those stories. We talked about how to focus on or highlight donation maybe share a donor story here. Why do people donate? What does that benefit? Do they, do they donate on behalf of someone else, on behalf of their own experience, etc. And then another thought that I had was, because there is so much information, lots of information, all the way down to, like individual chapter meetings and so on, maybe consider developing a first-time experience portal or platform, so that people who are new to hiking or new to the group might have easy ways to get involved, to donate, member events, those types of things, because there's so much information, maybe making it easy for that first time or casual user to get them more interested, to kind of move them toward the membership goal.
Awesome. Now diving into Facebook. So lots of accomplishments on this platform. First and foremost, you're consistently posting, which is just a social media must. So great base for having consistent posts. With this, you also have really strong audience engagement across all interactions. So not only are the posts getting likes, laughs, loves, but they're also getting comments. And really want to emphasize that they are getting shared a ton. So I'm going to kind of put an opportunity in with this bullet. I think an opportunity here to take that even further is actually when someone shares your post, liking that, and then even commenting, thanks for sharing. Just another way to kind of push your community management a little further. And you're getting so many shares that I think this could be really valuable for attracting that new audience. With that, you're also using a strong variety of mediums. So you're sharing articles, you're utilizing a combination of graphic design and also real life imagery. So it's great to see a variety of different content in terms of visuals throughout your Facebook presence. You're also sharing from other relevant accounts, which is a great way to just, again, drive some new audience, as well as not have to allocate so many resources to being able to utilize that shared content. And with this community management, you're doing a great job of this. Again, I think you could take it a step further with that those shared posts, but you're engaging with comments, you're replying to comments, and that's really important. So I think just taking that a step further with the shared content could be really beneficial. In terms of opportunities, so going back to using the variety of mediums, I think one place that you are lacking in terms of content is short-form video content. I know that isn't necessarily the easiest content to produce, but I think specifically for Facebook, a great way you could utilize short-form videos, obviously you are being able to show off the trail, but maybe thinking more from a organizational culture perspective, or a meet the team, or behind the scenes, just really trying to make your organization more human, I think could be really beneficial, specifically on Facebook. Next, you mentioned really wanting to expand to a new and diverse audience. I would love to hear more about what exactly that audience looks like, or if you have even nailed that down exactly. So maybe the first step is identifying who exactly that new audience is, so you have a clear understanding of the steps you need to take in order to gain that attraction. With this, you do have a social media budget, so I would highly recommend utilizing some paid advertising, maybe identifying your key fundraisers, events, or initiatives throughout the year, and allocating that budget to really promote those events. And once you've identified exactly who that new audience is you want to attract, you can use that paid advertising to target them effectively. And then lastly, to your question about how do we determine what is working? So if you're utilizing Hootsuite, there should be a great insights to be able to see what's working, what's not working. I personally love Meta Business Suite. They have a great insights tab where you can pick a time period and then filter on really anything you would like to. I personally love reach and engagement. So you can pick a time period, filter by what post got the most engagement, what post got the least engagement, what post got the most interactions. And from there can really be a great guide to telling you what content is working and what content isn't working.
One thing I really loved when looking at your social media was how much you share the community you've built and the volunteers you have and the people who are working with your organization. And the people are definitely what seem to make it special, in addition to the beauty of the trail itself. I also like that your posts are informative and you do a great job of tagging relevant accounts for additional share power. An opportunity would definitely be that video on Facebook. Looks like you experimented once with a reel and it did pretty well for you. So that could offer lots of additional reach and engagement just to have more of that video there for your audience.
One thing I really appreciated about your Facebook presence was, in addition to the things already mentioned, that you're really highlighting geographical partners and locations pretty evenly. So you're really hitting all those different communities that the Ice Age Trail goes through and focusing on them and tagging them in your posts, which I think is really wonderful. That engagement and the number of follows you have are great. Some of the opportunities that I saw were things like making sure that you're not using too many words on your photos. When you're using those same graphics for the Instagram and Facebook, make sure that they're optimized for each platform and take a lot of the words off. It's an accessibility issue, but it's also just like then you're kind of reading and you're taking away from those beautiful photos, which those photos are just fantastic. So more photos. Also, I would consider using and boosting, since you do have a budget, events more regularly by inviting co-hosts. You're inviting other people who are maybe interacting with organizations in their own communities to follow you as well. And so I think that is one of the ways that you can reach some of those goals to kind of increase your membership and diversify your membership and hit all those different communities along the way. I've also noticed there are a lot of call to action posts, but not as many why posts. So questions like, why does this work matter? Why do your donations matter? What types of things do you fund? Why do donors donate? Those kinds of individual storytelling posts might do really well and might break up a lot of the factual information or event specific information on your presence. And then also with the goal of having more donations, your social media has a lot of information right on the post. One thing that I would recommend is shorter posts, less information, more engagement, and lots of pushing to the website. And then once you get to the website, doing things like Ashley had recommended earlier of really highlighting that call to donate. So get the story on Facebook and then move to the website where you're asked or you're seeing donor stories so that you're really encouraged to meet that goal of improving donations.
Great. So now taking a look at Instagram. So very similar to website, you have clear branding, which is very important for Instagram, a little different than Facebook. When you land on your Instagram profile, it looks great, it looks concise, and it looks clear that it is Ice Age Trail Alliance brand. Again, a really good use of both that graphic design as well as the real life imagery. Being able to use real life imagery is one way that people can really resonate, but I think you do a great job of also incorporating that graphic design. You're also doing a great job of utilizing some Instagram specific tools, so highlights. So when someone comes onto your page, they're able to get a quick tidbit about what the Ice Age Trail Alliance is all about and that important information that you've highlighted with that feature. Something that I personally love and recommend is you're utilizing cross-posting. So you are taking the content that's being shared on your Facebook and also having that posted on your Instagram. This is super beneficial for small teams, nonprofit teams that might not have the resources to create different content for both Facebook and Instagram. So it's great that you're utilizing that practice. And then also you recently have had some really strong reel performance. Not a ton of reels on the page. So I think there's an opportunity there to try out more of them. And because we're only doing this for a month, not sure how often you're utilizing stories exactly, but really leaning into some of those Instagram specific tools, specifically stories. Those are much easier to be shared. So ideally trying to garner that new audience there as well. One place that I think is very important with cross-posting is making sure that you're adapting the content to the platform that it's on. So like Tana mentioned, captions are pretty lengthy. I would not necessarily say to take too much away for Facebook, but I think for Instagram, that's an opportunity where if you shorten up those captions, especially given kind of how users interact on that platform, that could go a long way, as well as making sure that there aren't links because you can't physically click that link. So just making sure it's updated for the platform. Hashtags, the strategy has changed throughout the years, so just making sure you're as specific as possible with those. And then just an idea to really think about growing to a new audience is maybe identifying some other organizations that you have partnered with in the past, or maybe you haven't, that has that audience you're looking to grow that you might not already be reaching. That way you can partner with them, do a social media giveaway where they're following both of your pages, and that's a way that you can get that new audience that you might not have previously had.
All right. One thing I really liked when I was looking at your Instagram feed was using carousel posts to tell a story. There's kind of some algorithmic benefit to that every now and again. And you were using that tool a lot. So I really enjoyed seeing the whole process of something or watching that story be told that way. And you're also doing a great job of posting regularly, which is really hard to do. So awesome job on that. Again, as Ashley said, avoid putting those links into captions. That is coming from that cross-posting, which is a great thing, but the links on Instagram don't help anything and you can't click them. So again, try less hashtags. The 3 to 5 is a good number to go with. And then I think video is like a huge opportunity for you on Instagram. All of those tools and resources that you have on your website already, like that's so much content that you can pull from, hiker guides, like what your donors are doing, any of that like first time information you should know if you want to take a hike on the Ice Age Trail. So you can kind of pull from blogs and resources you have on your site to start generating some of that content.
One of the things I appreciated about the Instagram profile is there was a lot of really good storytelling. So profiles of volunteers and staff got really great engagement, and they really lend a personal touch to the organization. That's the kind of first time content I was looking for. So I think Instagram, you've done a really great job at that. And of course, the following is great and the posting is consistent and frequent. Likewise, I would say more video content, more stories, more reels. Think about the impact that a really short video of placing the last beam on a trail project would have, or the 1,000-miler who walks the last few steps and documents that experience in a story or a video. Even if people are shy about being on camera, you can showcase the nature and have a voiceover and have a couple of little words on a story about like what it felt like to like take that last step. I also thought that the Instagram posts get a lot of likes, but not a lot of comments. And so consider maybe posting occasionally open-ended questions, encouraging people to have a dialogue with each other online. And so they're sharing the post and maybe engaging with each other. One of the things that I see from the posts and the content is people make a community around the trail, right? And so help them make a community online by open-ended questions that are encouraging people to share their experiences, their best moments on the trail, what they like about fall, how they got involved with the Ice Age Trail or why they became a member, those types of things. So I think the testimonials are really important to keep doing because they seem to really work for your members.
Great. Now, last but definitely not least, TikTok. So accomplishments, you're on the platform. That is a very hard step to take. So kudos to you for doing that, especially as a nonprofit. You're also taking part in trends, also a tough step to make. So it's great to see that. I'm biased, but I also think it is an accomplishment that you have office dogs and you're utilizing them. The TikTok community loves dogs, I would argue. So being able to utilize those dogs is super beneficial. And then given your goal of attracting a new audience, TikTok is a great place to do that. I think some opportunities, Monty the Mammoth. I want to see more. I think that is a huge opportunity. If you're familiar with Duolingo, obviously a very different business, very different organization, but the way in which they use their mascot on TikTok is super popular. And I think there are so many opportunities to bring in Monty the Mammoth. With this as well, trying to identify what trends make the most sense for the organization. So at points, there might have been some disconnects. So I think how you can really nail this down is my recommendation is follow nonprofits kind of relevant to your efforts, maybe even regionally. A great example here is Milwaukee Public Library. They've had a lot of virality on TikTok. And so being able to determine, okay, what is a trend? We're following them. Let's see what they're doing. And how did they connect it to their organization, I think would be really beneficial. And with that, content doesn't always need to be trending. I know on TikTok it feels that way, but trying to think out of the box, just short form video content in general. And then maybe it's not utilizing a trend, but you're utilizing a trending song or a trending sound. And with this, TikTok is tough, recommended 1 to 4 TikToks a day, which is a lot of content. So kind of an out of the box recommendation here. If you haven't utilized artificial intelligence, I like to utilize it as brainstorming. So if you are struggling to figure out what exactly should we post, or does this trend make sense to us, why don't you ask AI? I think that's a great place to try and utilize that resource.
Yeah, Ashley touched on a lot of the great things that were happening on TikTok. Of course, being on it, that's a challenging step. And it is really hard to post regularly on TikTok. That 1 to 4 times a day is just really overwhelming. And it seems like a lot of the posts you shared so far are leaning into trends, but the trends were a bit disconnected from your organization and your mission. So again, TikTok's a great place to share the beauty of your trail through hiking videos, how-tos, and they don't even need to be very long. They can cover, 3 easy tips, or this is a section of the trail. I know when I'm looking for places to go, I use TikTok a lot to search for places in California that are beautiful Airbnbs, and then I get a million results that I can look through. So I think that type of thing will really help build your audience for people who are looking at hiking videos or any of those types of thoughts or pieces of information. And then again, you could ease your way into trends with just a trending audio over these videos you're creating, and using those relevant hashtags to be found. And again, just the regular cadence with TikTok is really important.
Leave questions till the end. Awesome. So we will now dive into Wisconsin agriculture in the classroom. So taking a look at this organization's strength, really content creation and planning. So they have a clear plan set forth for the year ahead, and really have flexibility within that schedule to do in the moment relevant posting as well. Some challenges that they're currently facing, they're in the process of changing their target audience from rural volunteers to educators. So really trying to find the best platforms to engage this new audience on social media. And with this, they're also transitioning their website to their larger state organization. So lots of changes happening with the website as well. So thinking about the new audience and the new website, some of their goals, really to create a fluid user experience on their website, as well as build that target audience of Wisconsin teachers across their various platforms, and ultimately get more followers and engagement from their newly launched Instagram account. So a lot of great things happening, a lot of great things in the works. So let's dive in. So taking a look at the website, again, thinking from the perspective that this website is being rebuilt. So didn't want to get too granular with the actual aspects of the current website. But in terms of accomplishments, again, a lot of content. It's very strong information that you have throughout the website. It's all up to date. And again, it's organized in a very meaningful manner. The navigation is there. So in terms of user navigation, you have a strong start there. Again, very clean and consistent look and feel. Might argue to push your branding a little more here, really nailing down those colors to be able to utilize those throughout the website. Again, mobile optimization, very important here because that is not only how Google is ranking you, but is really important for that user experience that you're looking to drive. In terms of opportunities, really, again, adding that donate call to action in the header on your homepage. Again, something I recommend to almost all of the nonprofits I work with to have that front and center. And then really thinking about expanding your homepage. So with your new target audience, identifying what information when they land on your website is going to be most beneficial for them, and really bringing your mission to the forefront. With that new information that's speaking directly to those educators, make sure there are calls to actions to get them further and further into your website to get that information. With this new site, you currently have a template that's almost like a page within a page when you're navigating. I think this is great for your educational content, but in terms of like an about page, I would recommend veering away from that current page style. I think, again, lends itself very well to that educational content, but isn't necessarily the best in terms of just communicating who you are as an organization. With this, I think the new site, there's a great opportunity for more real life images. Again, specifically those that are relevant to educators. So if you can get pictures in the classroom of students, of other educators, really ones that can resonate with that new target audience, I think will go a long way. And again, ran some tests on page speed. So when building this new site, would highly recommend just utilizing that WebP format for images rather than a JPEG or a PNG. That's just kind of a great place, an easy place, I think, to start in terms of search engine optimization.
Mobile friendly, easy to navigate, all things Ashley touched on. I really enjoy how clean the website is. Again, pushing that branding a little more would be great, but it's easy to read. I don't feel overwhelmed. And the only place where I do see an opportunity for that is that header carousel. It doesn't really quite match with the way that it's designed, that more modern feel of the rest of the homepage. And so by updating that, making it a little easier to engage with and really narrowing in on the most important pieces of information would really clean that up. You could definitely have a bigger call to action to get involved. That could be front and center, take the place of that carousel. It could be a part of that carousel. And then there's also no link to your newly created Instagram on your website. So I'm not able to find you on that platform through your website. So I would recommend adding that.
I think the audience on the page is really clear and welcoming. You know when you're there that this is a resource for educators, and the lesson plans and the grants are featured very prominently. And my sense is those are kind of the two top things that really bring value to the people that use your site. So I really like that. I like the clear and consistent navigation, all the things that were already mentioned. Couple opportunities that I see for this page that weren't already mentioned were things like there are several key pages like events that are featured really prominently, but they don't have content, or it seems like they have content seasonally. So make sure that there's placeholder text that talk about if there isn't an event coming up, rather than getting a blank page or this forum is closed, have something that says what your event strategy is. We have events 4 times a year, for example, so that people find something when they're going there, especially if that's something that's really prominently featured on the page. Another thing I would consider is creating a guide to all the resources by grade level. When I work with educators, they're very, very focused on what's appropriate for my students. And so making that easy for them rather than having to go through the K through 3 and the 9 through 12 grades, making it very easy, elementary school teachers, high school teachers, to find those resources and the opportunities that might be applicable to them would be really helpful. Also, I would recommend adding dates to when content was added. I saw 1 or 2 references to content added regularly, but then you can't see what's the new content and what's the old content. And that's something that you could also tie in to your social strategy when you post new content on the website. Make sure there are Facebook and Instagram posts that go along with that and highlight that new resource.
Great. So now taking a look at Facebook. So posting relatively consistently. I think one opportunity here is there were some instances where you maybe went 4 or 5 days without posting, not super common, and then you'd have a day where you would have 2 posts. So just trying to think strategically about if you're going to post twice, one day maybe you can expand that content to a different day to not have that 4-day gap, and then it's a 3-day gap. So just thinking a little creatively with the content there, but you have that consistent presence, which is great as kind of laying that groundwork. Again, really solid engagement across all interactions. People are not only reacting, but they're also commenting and sharing. And with this, you're doing a great job with community management in terms of replying to the comments, liking the comments. Again, push community management as far as possible. I think this is a great way to expand an audience. So if someone is sharing, thanking them for sharing and liking that post, I think can go a long way. Some other opportunities. So I think based on the audit that I performed, your current content that isn't performing as well as that lesson specific content, I think that is super important to obviously get out to your audience, especially with the new target being the educators. It's just a matter of how you are portraying that content. So again, thinking real life images. If you could have a picture of that lesson actually taking place in a classroom or set up in a classroom, or a teacher actually teaching the lesson, I think that could go a really long way. And with that, copywriting. So rather than just saying, here's our new lesson, really speak to that educator. Are you looking for a way to teach your students about XYZ? Check out our new lesson that teaches you and your students about XYZ. So I think just really positioning that content for the educator is going to go a long way. And with this, obviously you are an education organization, but you have a lot of educational content as well as a lot of promotional content for your educational content. I think building out some content pillars that are focused on some other aspects of your organization could go a long way. So thinking organization, culture, and values. Again, a meet the team post, a behind the scenes post. I think this could go a long way, especially for reaching that new target audience that you're looking to build. Also appears that you are not currently utilizing Facebook fundraising tools. So you're able to apply to be able to utilize those. So you can not only host fundraisers yourself, but people can actually create fundraisers on behalf of your organization. Also, this is small, and I don't necessarily know if the recommendation is able to be implemented, but I noticed that your Facebook page name is Wisconsin Agriculture in the Classroom Program. So if you're able to remove that program, that would help just have consistency throughout your digital presence.
Again, I love any posts that have people. Those seem to perform well for you, and it's showing the community that you're building. And again, building that community is everything, and you're doing a great job with that. Again, a nice job tagging other accounts when relevant. Some opportunities I saw would be to clean up some of those graphics to have a little less info on the image and really work on making that copywriting strong and put that information in the caption. I saw a handful of like tags that weren't correct, or like there was double @ signs or like some extra punctuation or incorrect tagging. So just double check those types of grammatical things and make sure everything's going to where you intend it to. And then also just include more clear call to actions in posts, especially for like your fundraising efforts or any of those things where you're not maybe hitting them quite as hard. There's an opportunity to make that really clear that you're looking for that type of involvement.
I really appreciated the really great mix of engagement and celebration and content offerings. I feel like that was a really good mix for Facebook of kind of mixing up the content that you have for educators with kind of celebration of things that were happening in events or people that came to speak to an audience. So I really thought that was a great accomplishment, and it's you have a solid following, and the lesson plans posting has, a very consistent look and feel. A couple of opportunities I saw were, in addition to what has already been shared, like using more photos again, highlighting people more often. But then also there's an opportunity, I think, to really build partnerships. You do a good job of tagging everybody that comes to talk to you at an event or when you go out to do an event. But I think continuing to build partnerships to reach educators through other audiences that are already reaching educators. So for example, promoting the essay contest on the Department of Public Instruction. They have a newsletter, they have social media platforms, like working with them to kind of share your essay contest with a larger audience of teachers and educators would be wonderful. Working with a cooperative children's book center, you have a section where you recommend books in conjunction with lesson plans, work with a library type content. I'm a little biased working in a library, but there are lots of great books about agriculture and farming, and why not share those? You're reaching to educators, so sharing that content I think could be helpful and could allow you to tag other organizations as well. And partnering with Alice in Dairyland, who came to one of your recent events, I'm sure they have a very active social media following, and so kind of working to reach out to that audience as well. So those kinds of partnerships, and then making sure that you're tagging them to kind of build that following even more. I also feel like there's an opportunity to showcase the diversity of the Wisconsin agricultural workers and community, and make sure that you're showing, kids, the end users really of your product, kids learning about agriculture. So maybe some classroom photos, maybe again in partnership with other organizations to get some of that content and share it.
Awesome. Now diving into the newly created Instagram. So accomplishments, again, cross-posting, a great habit to get into. Again, being able to not need to allocate additional resources to your new Instagram page is going to be very beneficial for just having that consistent Instagram presence. I really think that Instagram is the right place for your new target. So I would definitely focus on ensuring that you are being consistent on the platform and optimizing your efforts based on the performance that you're seeing with your posts. And another accomplishment, again, not the easiest thing to do, is you've gotten started with Reels. So I think that's going to be a great opportunity to take advantage of in the future as well. Some opportunities. So if you don't have brand guidelines, I would recommend just at least getting some font and color specifications in place. If you're utilizing Canva Pro, you can actually put together a brand kit where you can select the colors, select the fonts. That way, whenever you're going to build that graphic, the same colors are available in the same fonts, and you're going to build that branding consistency throughout your Instagram. With this, both on Facebook and Instagram, I think you could take your copywriting a bit further. I would add copy. I think, again, putting yourself in the place of a Wisconsin educator, what information do you want relayed to you in that social media content? I'm not telling you to write a novel in that caption, but I think you could take some of those posts a little further. With this, also utilizing the Instagram specific tools. So creating some highlights. That way, when you are posting to your Instagram story, you have relevant, quick bits that people, when they land on your profile, can quickly scroll through to get a better idea of your organization. With cross-posting, again, making sure that it is optimized for the platform, refrain from putting links in the description, in that caption. So I'd highly recommend utilizing like the link in bio approach. So you can utilize something like Linktree. There's a variety of other options. That way you can just direct users to the link in your bio and have a bunch of relevant links for people to choose from when viewing your content.
An accomplishment that I wanted to highlight was just posting regularly. It's hard to keep up with that on Instagram, so you're doing a great job. And you are posting lots of good educational information, but an opportunity could definitely be using that content in a video format. So going through what the lesson highlights in a way that a teacher would want to know, or showing how the lesson is being used in practice in a real classroom. Again, you have like so much good information and good content within your lesson plans that could be broken out into smaller videos to kind of teach more what the programs actually are doing and what they're all about. And again, just avoid links in your captions. So
I will also say, like, you've got a really great solid start. The posts have moved from more graphics to more photos, and the reels are great and they're getting good views. So keep that up. I think it's doing really well. Couple of opportunities I see were the potential to use stories. I know that it's hard to sometimes do a whole reel. Video is complicated sometimes, or you don't have time, but stories might be a good fit to add a little more engagement and a little more activity to some of those posts. I would also consider maybe like a contest or a giveaway to kind of encourage that engagement to get new followers. So something like I saw some merchandise on the website. Those are maybe things that you could give away. It seems like you did giveaways at events. So maybe this is a strategy that could work for you on social media as well. So, encouraging people to follow you on Instagram, comment to win. Freebies are great. And so you can have a picture of a freebie and kind of work with that to make a contest or some kind of giveaway to kind of encourage people to interact with your posts a little more or to follow you. Also encourage teachers to follow Instagram at events. It seems like maybe you're doing that, but like that incentivization in person when you're having in-person events, it seems like you do get higher engagement when a bunch of teachers come together for an event based on the posts that I saw. So kind of continue to work that strategy to get people to interact with you when they're in the room and you have a chance to talk to them in person.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're not about to start, and to respect people's time, if you need to leave, I think we're still going to broadcast it on the Facebook Live. And also, I want to respect your time, so I appreciate you having questions. We can also have questions emailed to Social Media Breakfast Madison, and we will be happy to pass it on. But meanwhile, go ahead. Yeah. Mhm.
Hi, I'm Beth from Wisconsin Ag in the Classroom. Thank you so much. That was not nearly as painful as I thought it was going to be. So thank you for being kind. So I appreciate the feedback. One of the strategies that we're trying to use, particularly for pictures of students, because there's some HIPAA things going on for kiddos and other permissions. How can we best manage those permissions? Currently, we encourage school districts to post and tag us so that we don't have that liability of those student images. So that I love the ideas of more video and more photos, but immediately that particular barrier popped up, and I'm really curious how the library handles that. So thank you.
So at the library, we handle that a variety of ways. If we have access to the child's guardian parent, we have them sign a form that we've worked with our legal department to carefully craft to make sure that everything is good, and to also include partners, key partners in that. So we have worked with school districts. Some schools have permission slips where if they go out on a field trip, they can give kind of blanket permission for locations to use those photos. Another thing that we do, honestly, is to use paid photography and, use models. You can have models of kids reading books. So you can pay for a photo shoot. You can rope in the kids, in your families and your extended families and your neighbors and whatever. We do that on a regular basis. Board members' children, for example, to show the emotion of what it's like to read a book about apples versus, actually having a kid in that particular school. So you're just kind of evoking that platform, but you're using, photos that you've paid for in one way or another.
Sorry to butt in, but I used to work for Wisconsin 4-H, and we dealt with this a lot. And one thing we really focused on was taking photos of like the back of kids' heads or their hands or like above when they're looking down at a lesson or a teacher or a leader up in front of them. So that way you don't have the kids' faces, but you still have that feeling of being in the room with them. And we also did it wouldn't be the same with the school district, but we also did a thing where if kids didn't want their photos taken or their parents didn't, we'd put like a little sticker on their name tag so the photographer would know the difference.
Any other questions real quick? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and all your advice. It was incredibly helpful. My name is Mara. I'm with the Ice Age Trail Alliance. And I just have a question about TikTok. So we've kind of used that platform. Our strategy's been different than like our Facebook and Instagram, more it's like less serious, less informative, more fun and kind of like silly content. And I know you suggested kind of doing more informative posting on there and like really like capturing the beauty of the trail and like our volunteers and things like that. I guess, would it make sense to kind of merge both types of content together or just focus on one or the other?
I would definitely recommend merging both. I think on any platform, content pillars are important. So having differentiated content is going to go a long way. So I wouldn't say fully get away from the silly, fun content that is super important, especially on TikTok. But you also have a great organization to be able to feature the trails, that video, maybe even thinking how to do more of that informative content, but still in a trendy way. So a day in the life of an employee at Ice Age Trail or whatever that may be. So trying to still think with that informative content, how do we play into TikTok as a platform, but definitely would still encourage to have that fun trending content as well.
Great. All right, and I have one more question in the back.
So my name's Charlotte. I'm with a Christian ministry. I got a question because I'm redesigning our website right now, and I know you guys mentioned about putting social media up front above the fold, kind of. I have questions about the wisdom of that because I understand social media, kind of their goal is to keep people on their platforms, and I understand getting people from social media to your website to social media from my website and not just pushing them towards like a newsletter or a blog or someplace where I know I'm going to have all their attention. So I wonder what your guys' opinion is on that particular link.
Are you active on social media?
We are only on a couple platforms. We have a cybersecurity volunteer who has specifically told me, like, because I have admin access to a lot of our financials and other stuff. He specifically told me, like, don't install TikTok on any of your devices. He's even getting us about getting off of Facebook because, like, our executive director gets malware off of there about every week. Like, I have to take stuff off. So we're a little skeptical right now on social media. So I'm just wondering, I'm okay with using it to get people to a website. I don't know if I want to push people towards it. And that's why I'm wondering, how do you guys play with that link and that balance? Because we are active. Some things work better than others. So.
Great question.
Yeah, in my opinion, it really comes down to prioritization. So if you feel that your social media presence is something that is important and you want to grow based on the users coming to your website, I'm going to recommend that you have that front and center. However, if you have a really great email newsletter or a really great blog that drives a lot of traffic, maybe you're prioritizing that instead based on the conversations being had about social media behind the scenes. Does it make sense to drive all that traffic there if you're going to end up down the road not having that presence any longer? So it's a great question because it's kind of that balance. But I think if you have a strong email newsletter or a strong blog and you're like, you know what, this is where we're putting a lot of our efforts into, would probably recommend prioritizing things like that versus that social media.
I just want to add one quick thing to that. And it's not really an answer to the question, but it's a problem or a mistake I see on a ton of websites. If somebody clicks a link to your social icons and it opens and replaces your website, you've lost a huge opportunity. Right. And I cannot tell you how many websites do that. Yep. So make sure it opens in a new tab because that doesn't solve the problem, but it certainly like minimizes it significantly because like they didn't leave your website. They just also went to Instagram.
Great. All right. I think with that, we will thank our food sponsor, Salvatore's Pies. Thank you, Dream Bank, very much. And you are fantastic. Thank you so much for the time you put into it. Ashley Storck, Meg Goals, and Tana Elias.
Thank you.
And yes. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.